Hello. Today we're going to do a project with Dollar Tree's air dry clay. See how we like it. See how it compares to other air dry clay. And we're going to work on a project that has to do with a very weird, unusual fear that I have. You know how people come into your home and they walk up to your stove and they put their hand on a hot burner? Yeah, I don't either. But ever since I moved here, I've had an electric stove, and I have always, my whole life, had a gas stove. And I think it might be the fact that it's an electric stove and it stays hot forever. I know no one's going to walk up and touch a burner after I've used it, but I can't get over the fear of it, so I figured I'll just do something to relieve my mind. So I'm going to make this today, and this one I made, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago. Just as hot, and it points to the burner. Now, I'm sure I'm the only one with this ridiculous fear, so you could make, I don't know, ornaments or trinket dishes or whatever it is you want to make. But mostly this video is about this Dollar Tree clay. Now, besides the clay, we're going to need a rolling pin or a glass or whatever you have to roll out your clay. And when mine's not in use, I'm going to hang it up, so I just have a piece of cord here. It's like a twisted paper cord. I have a few tools here. I have these embossing tools from the Dollar Tree that you can't see because I don't have it in front of the camera. So I have a couple of those. Then I just have a knife. Any knife will do. And an emery board to sand once the project's dry, and it does take well over a week for this to dry. For mine, I'm going to use some old stale instant coffee, some cinnamon. I'm going to use a copper mica powder. You obviously decorate yours the way you want to. I have a paintbrush and some scissors. I have some Mod Podge and a little cap of water right here. And I think that's it, but I'll let you know if it isn't. So we're going to make whatever shape we want. I'm doing a heart, and then we will move on to what we're going to do with the rest of our project. Okay, so we're going to begin by taking some of this clay out. Absolutely love the color of this clay, but of course it dries much, much, much lighter. Anyway, having used this to make my first hot sign, I'm not too thrilled with this clay. You can't really etch in it like you can with most paper clays. I mean, you can, but I ended up having to make little dots because it just tore up so bad. Other than that, it's not horrible. I mean, it will do in a pinch. I won't say I'll never use it again, but I will say it won't be my first choice. Now I'm working here on some parchment or freezer paper. I'm just going to flatten this out and you'll see how it tends to crack. Now, it didn't crack when it dried, which really surprised me. It did really well with that. So I'm going to roll this out. And get it to whatever thickness you want. Now, you could, if you wanted to make hearts as well, or any other shape, you could use a cookie cutter. That would work fine. And you could also put something on either side, like dowel rod or whatever, to make sure your thickness is the same all the way through. It's just not that serious for me, but it is for you. Make sure you use something. Several playing cards, dowel rods, whatever you have that will make it even on each side. Now, as you can see, it's just not, this clay is just, well, I'm just not used to air dry clay doing this. But like I said, it'll do in a pinch. It's not horrendous. Now, when I dried mine, I laid another piece of parchment paper over top and put a book on top of it so that it wouldn't curl up when it dried. You may have a better way of doing that. Trying to get this in camera. Okay. So now I'm going to use my knife and cut out my heart shape. And if you've seen any of my wire hearts, or you know, I don't really like the left and right side to be the same. So if you want yours to be symmetrical, that's perfectly fine. It's just not what I like. So here we go. We have a heart. And we're going to use our little cap of water and smooth everything out. Now, you don't want much water, just a teeny tiny bit. Smooth those edges out. Unless you want rough edges, that's fine too. And then with this clay, I went ahead and kind of smoothed the whole thing. Might not be the right thing to do. I am normally a polymer clay user, but that's what I did for the other one. It seems to be okay. Now I'm going to use one of these embossing tools to make a hole in it, since I am hanging it up when it's not in use. And then I'm going to use the tiny side to write hot and put an arrow on this. Now this is where I came into issues. When I drew on the other one, it just, here, let's do it. Do you see how it's doing? It's just not defining like I want it to. It's all crumbling. So I counteracted that by going around and just doing little holes in it. Try to define my word the best I could. Now, we could just let this dry as a solid heart and then use a paint pen or something to write our word. That might be quite a bit easier, actually. Now I need my arrow to point to that hot burner that nobody's ever going to touch. But my weird mind says they are. And again, we have to define it. Now with the other one, for decoration, I did dots all the way around it, but I think I'm going to leave this one plain. So what we do at this point, after you're totally finished decorating it and doing what you want with it, is you're going to let it dry for about a week. At least that's how long it took mine. And it wasn't in an especially cold room or anything, but it just took forever. So there we are. There's the base of what we're going to do. Now we're going to move on to the one that I did before, and I will show you how I'm going to decorate mine. To begin with, I am going to sand the edges of my heart with this emery board. Now, not necessary if you want a rough, rugged edge. Actually, this edge looks pretty good, really. But we'll just go around, sand it. You could use sandpaper. Same thing, really. And this is not something that needs to be perfect. Maybe if you were making a Christmas ornament or something, you would like it to be really, really perfect. But this is just to help me with the silly fear that I have. So I'm not looking for perfection. Okay, good enough for me. Dump that away. Now for the front, of course you could paint it, do whatever you want with it. I'm going to put some copper mica powder on mine. And this is nothing more than an eyeshadow, really. You could use that. I want this plain. I just want the focus to be on the actual word, which is why I'm using mica powder. It's barely there. And that's what I'm going to do to the front of mine. Now, when I hang this up, I'm going to hang it when it's not in use. I'm going to hang it with the back of it showing. So we're going to move on and decorate the back. And it's right rough, but that's fine. So I have this top that I had the water in. I'm just going to put some of this Mod Podge in here. Kind of would like it to be matte, but all I had was this gloss, so that's what I'm going to use. And now I'm going to add, whoa, some of this stale coffee that just went everywhere. Now you can make this as chunky or not so chunky or however you want to do it. I'm just going to mix that into my Mod Podge. And if it's not chunky enough, we'll just add more to the actual heart. Now, I'm just going to paint this on. And the coffee is staining the Mod Podge. I like it. I want this to be kind of grungy. I'm not stressing about the hole because once it dries, I can just poke that right back out again. It's not a big deal. I'm giving it a really generous layer of this. And I guess that's chunky enough. Or is it? Yeah, I guess so. So we've got a nice fat coat of Mod Podge here. And now I'm going to take my cinnamon. If I could open it, goodness. And I'm going to sprinkle that on top, and I don't care how heavy it is because we can just shake off any extra. There we go. There's our grungy, funky looking heart. Now we have to let this dry. I will let you know how long that takes. Okay, we are back, and this took about an hour to dry. And I think with the other one, I will do more coffee. It almost looks like a chocolate chip cookie. It's supposed to be a rustic grunge look. So that is the back, and here is the front. Now, I probably could have used something and smoothed out these letters, but it's just not important to me. However, it is important to you. You could do it that way. Now, I'm just going to open up this hole so that I can put my cord through. And then all we have left to do is cover it with Mod Podge. Now, of course, you could use a spray sealer if you'd like. This is going to be in the kitchen, so I do want it to be sealed. Why can't I make my way through to the other side? Oh, here we are. It's not quite as dry as I thought it was. Where is... Okay, let's try this. But it's dry enough for us to continue anyway. There we go. Now I'm going to cut a piece of this cording so that I can hang this up when I'm not using it. Now, if you're doing like an ornament or something and you want it more cutesy, you could certainly glue lace around it, paint it a cute color, use really pretty ribbon. Just trying to make a hanger here to put through the hole on this heart, and I'm struggling. Now you would put Mod Podge on one side of your piece and let it dry, and then put it on the other side. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to go ahead and cover both sides and then just hang it to dry. Now my kitchen is fairly rustic, so the rustic heart works best for me. But like I say, you can make it whatever style you want to make it. Match whatever it is you're making. Maybe I picked cording that was too thick for the hole that I put in here. Could have used some jute twine, be nice and rustic. I had this in my stash, and I really didn't know what to do with it or why I bought it. So I thought I would use it for this project. Okay, finally made it through. Now for when this is hanging up and not being used, we could certainly put a cute little bow back here or something, but I just don't want cutesy for my kitchen. And on the edges of this heart, you could have certainly painted those, or put the mica powder on it, or however you want to do it. I don't have a spray sealer or varnish, so that is why I'm using Mod Podge. And you might want to go ahead and let all this dry before you add your hanger, if you have a hanger on yours. I just, for the sake of the video, just plowing through. Now this, of course, you know will dry clear. All right, had the sides and the top done. Let's do the back and we will be finished. I'll bring you back after it's all dry. Yeah, I think more coffee, more rustic for the next one. Okay, let's let this dry. So here is my little project all done and dried and ready to use, and it smells great. Like I said, I know it's ridiculous that I worry about someone getting burned on my stove. Makes no sense. But if something as simple as this can help relay my fears, then why not? And it's cute, and it'll look nice hanging in my kitchen. Now, as far as the air dry clay goes, make sure that any leftovers or pieces that you have trimmed off go into an airtight container, bag, whatever you happen to have to keep it nice and soft. Because being air dry, of course, if it's in the air, it's going to dry, and then it's not going to be usable as far as I know. Maybe there's a way to make it come back to life. I don't know. And usually I use polymer clay. But again, this is not the best. I didn't find it to be the best. I tried to make a few delicate type things with it, like a rose, and it just cracked as I was trying to do it. But it will do for a project like this or in a pinch, and it's very economical, $1.25 for 250 grams. Does that say 8 ounces? I don't have my glasses on. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching.